Hi everyone, Coach Dave here again with your Anytime Fitness Online Health Hub workout of the day. Today we're going to be doing a workout video centered around caring for your joints, making sure that you can move well through a full range of motion and that you have a good range of motion through really major joint groups. Now, health of joints is applicable to absolutely everybody. Most everybody that's in the gym, or at least a very large proportion of people who come to gyms, are interested in building very strong muscles and adding muscle mass to their bodies. But what's not often taken into consideration is the importance of moving the joints through the full range of motion and joint health in attaining those goals. It is vital to be able to train through the full range of motion with any movement really, if your goal is to build muscle, whether it be a bicep curl or a barbell back squat or a podium deadlift, a split squat, a deep lunge, a push-up, whatever the exercise and whatever the muscle group you're targeting, moving through the full range of motion is absolutely vital. Joint health goes beyond that though as well, even affecting life expectancy. As we get older, your joints and your ability to move with strength through the full range of motion literally becomes a matter of life and death. Your ability to get down and up off the ground with ease can actually impact your life expectancy quite significantly. So the importance of caring for your joints and moving through the full range of motion, being able to control through full range of motion, is far more important than what we often give it credit for. If we can actually start to change our mindset a bit from muscles rather than to joints. How are my joints moving? Are my joints moving well? Can I move through the full range of motion? It could have an enormous impact on our training and the attaining of our goals. Now, building off of the last video we did in terms of it's all in the hips and moving through the hips, the importance of hip health, we're going to be doing a lot of movements to start and ensure the mobility of three major joint groups in my body. One is the shoulders, the second is the spine, and the third we're going to go back down to the hips again. Once we've done some mobilization techniques for all of those joint groups, what we will do at that point is then do some light resistance exercises again for those joints, starting from the top at the shoulders, down the spine, and then through to the hips again. So just some mild resistance to make sure that we can move with control and strength through the full range of motion. Starting out with the shoulders, I'm going to be using a rubber resistance band for some shoulder passovers. Come join me. Okay, first movement, and we've touched on it before, the shoulder passover. I've got a double ply on one side, fingers through the middle, thumb underneath. That's one. I'm on my knees so that my hips are pushed forward and my low back can't overcompensate. I'm going to do 10 of these. Different angles. Eight, last two. Okay. We're about to move on to my upper back or my thoracic spine. I'm going to do a squatted movement with some rotations. The option, you may not be able to get down into a deep squat, is to bend forward, and I'll demonstrate those options. Now we're going for two movements here: thoracic extension, so extension of the upper back, and rotation. Starting out with the squatted movement, I squat down into a deep squat here like so. Getting as much extension through my upper spine as I can, and then I'm getting rotation as well. I keep my eyes on my hand, that's one. I'm just going to do 6 each side. 4, 5, 6. Now the option, if you struggle to get down into a deep squat, is simply to bend forward, achieve extension through the upper back, and rotate that way. Other side, of course, squatting down, extend the upper back. 1. Slow and controlled. I'm trying to get the arm right above me. 2. not the world's most mobile guy, which is why I really need to make the time to do these kinds of movements. The next one is a Jefferson curl. I'm in this position standing tall. I push my hips forward and I curl my spine down, one vertebra at a time. I start by melting through the spine. The last thing to go back is my hips. I go forward until I can't go any further, and then I let my hips go back. When I'm as low as I can go with a nice big curl through my spine, I push my hips forward and let my spine come back to standing. So that's one repetition. Arm back, going forward. That's 2. We're going to do 8 repetitions. Now this next movement is going to involve the hips and the shoulders, and there's a little bit to it. You're going to hear me say terms like internal rotation, external rotation. Now with that, if I've got my arms out straight, the shoulder can move at many different angles. It's the most flexible joint in the body. Internal rotation simply means that I turn my shoulders in. Now that can happen at any angle, but it might be an idea just to practice and get your mind around that concept first, because I'll be using it a bit. It just means to turn the shoulder in, internal rotation, and then of course its opposite, external rotation. So we're going to be working on those motions here. There's a lot of movement going through the hips and a lot of movement going through the shoulders as well. So no extra resistance for this first set. This is involving both hips and shoulders. Now I'm standing up nice and tall. My feet are at right angles and split. So my right foot is facing this way, my left foot is pointed 90 degrees away, and I've got a nice split stance. Now my right arm, I have it externally rotated above me like so. So it's turned right out and it's facing behind me. Ribs are tight, I keep my spine the same shape. What I do is I bend sideways with the hips, and I internally rotate my shoulder as I go, keeping my spine straight, and then I return to neutral, external rotation and extension of the hips. That's 1, 2, and I'm going to do 8 repetitions each side. Internal rotation of the shoulder, external. I'm also pushing the range of motion through the hips. 4, the goal is to keep your spine the same shape. 5, 6, last 2. The option is to just do the range of motion that you can. So if your range is limited, that's okay. Keep the spine the same shape. Okay, that's 8. Now I'm going to switch sides. Left foot is pointed forward, right foot at a right angle. I externally rotate my left arm, and I internally rotate as I go. It's 1. 2. Okay, so hopefully you've got the hang of those movements by now. What we're going to do is start to add resistance to these movements where we can. Now, the second movement, the squat with the extension and rotation of the upper back, there's not really a lot of resistance you can use for that one, so that one will stay as is, but we're going to do 2 more rounds, and with the other 3 movements, I'm going to add a little bit of resistance. Now, the option is always there to lighten the load and do what you need to do. Make sure that you go within the range of motion that you can. If you're moving well and gently within that range of motion, the joint will then hopefully begin to mobilize more. You'll be able to achieve a greater range of motion, and therefore you will build and strengthen muscles in the process. Back to the passovers, I'm going to add more resistance now. The other option is also to get a rod and add a light weight to it if you need to. Now, I'm going to put double ply on both sides now. Double ply on one hand, double ply on the other. So there's much more resistance through the band now. Squatting down now for the thoracic rotation. Remember, the option is just to bend forward and do it. Otherwise, squat down nice and deep. Extension through the upper back. Put in a couple extra reps. Same again with the other side. And 8. Feels really good, that one. Now for the Jefferson curl. Very, very important that this is done at the level that you're ready. I wouldn't advise using any weight until you've been doing this for quite some time, many weeks, even months, to make sure that your spine moves well and that you can achieve a good range of motion. I've been doing it for a while, so I'm going to be using a fairly light weight, and I'm going to put my feet on a riser. You'll see here how tight my hamstrings are, but I'm moving through the full range of motion, and my spine, all that connective tissue is getting a workout. Okay. Remember, hips are pushed forward, curling down one vertebra at a time. Last thing to go back is the hips. 1 rep. Bring the hips forward. That's 1. 8 reps. Four. 5. 6 reps. 7. next exercise, I will likewise be using just a little bit of resistance. Again, make sure you're good and ready for this. I'm going to be using an 8 kilo kettlebell. A dumbbell likewise will suffice quite well. Okay, standing wide. Right foot pointed this way, left foot pointed at a right angle. Externally rotate the shoulder, tighten everything up through here. 8 reps each side. Can be surprisingly challenging, this one. I'm going to do about 6 reps. That's how challenging that one can be. Okay, same again with the other side. 6 repetitions. Stronger on this side. Okay. That was a little bit of a shock to my system, that one. And whilst I could perform the movement, it was hard work on my shoulders. So I'll try and get a couple extra reps out on this third round. But it's just a good reminder to work within your limits. Okay, 1 more set of each. Just work within those limits. I'm going to get back to the shoulder passover. Down to a spinal extension, squatting down, extend through the upper back, and rotate. 8 reps each side. 8. Okay. Our final one here. Let's try for 8 repetitions each side. Wow, I find that challenging on that side. Last set here. Much easier on this side. Rightio folks, there you have it. Coach Dave, care for your joints. All about being able to control and work through the full range of motion. Take care.